Once you have your Google form opened, now you're ready to start formatting things. There are two taskbars you need to be familiar with. The first taskbar is up here, and these are more formatting tools for the settings and look of your Google form. And this taskbar down here is more for adding questions, sections, pictures, and videos. So let's start with the taskbar up here. This is your paint palette. It simply changes the color of your background. You can choose just a solid color for it, like this. Or if you want something a little more exciting, there are lots of different options that Google has given you. One of the cool things that they do is they provide some GIF files for you that you can choose, which actually have moving pictures in the background. So if you take a look here, in this particular one, you can see the candles flickering, there's some steam coming off the food. So there's a lot of fun options in there. They have not given a way for you to import pictures yet to personalize this, but there are quite a few options if you go through and look at them. So that's the color palette. The next icon is your preview option. This simply gives you a view of what your respondents will see. I recommend, if you're going to use this option, to go ahead and come back up here once you check, okay, this is what it looks like, come back up and close the tab. What ends up happening is if you click on view and then you go back into edit, then you go back into view, take a look at the top of the screen and you'll see all of these tabs beginning to appear as I'm going through and clicking preview a couple of different times and then going back and editing, and you're going to end up with a bunch of different tabs, and it gets confusing. You're not sure which one you're actually working in. So after you click that preview tab, I recommend going ahead and closing the tab and going back into your editing mode. So there's preview. Then we have our settings tab. This is pretty self-explanatory, pretty intuitive. It's simply asking you, what do you want your form to look like? Collect email addresses, what restrictions, what do you want the respondents to be able to see and do? So this is pretty easy. Presentation gives you some really cool options. I really like the progress bar. I like people to be able to see how far they are through the Google form. Also, shuffling question order can often help, especially if you're giving a quiz or an assessment. And I really like show links to submit another response, and let me tell you why. When you have a Google form that is for you, and you're doing quick assessments for students, let's say, for example, you're sitting in a reading group, you have 4 or 5 students in front of you, and you're quickly assessing their ability to read out loud a passage to you, or maybe you're calling students back to you one at a time. You complete the form, you hit submit. Instead of having to go back into your drive and reopen the form, what this will do is provide a link right there on the submit page. You just click it and it opens a fresh form for you to begin again with your next student. So that can save you a lot of time. So if you are creating a form of that nature, I highly recommend. This can really save you a lot of time, make your life a lot easier. But if you are creating an assessment for students, you definitely don't want that checked. Then we have the quiz option, and this can be a really nice thing. I know it says quiz, but we don't have to think of it as a quiz. This could be something as simple as an exit ticket. It could be simply in the middle of a lesson, a little dipstick to check and see what the kids are learning, what they know. The great thing that Google has done is, now that they have this quiz option, what happens is we're just going to go ahead and save this, okay? And now if we go in and we type in our question, whatever that might be, what color is the sky, right? We can click on our answer key, we put the answer down here, or we put the correct answer option, and when the respondents go through and answer the question, the correct answer will appear, okay? So in that quiz option, let's say you have an exit ticket. Now all of a sudden the kids go through, they have 3 to 5 little questions they have to answer. You know, they can see what did they learn that day? How much did they absorb? They're seeing the answers again. We know kids need things multiple times. This can be just another part of the lesson, but a great feature to have. So Under presentation, one thing I did mention is you can also change your confirmation message. It can be something funny to your kids. It can be a reminder to them to move on to the next task. It can be something to yourself, put your grades in your grade book, but you can change this message as well. So that's settings. Under the send button, this allows you to share the Google form. So you can share it via email. I like to use the link. I'll shorten it, copy it, and put it into Google Classroom. You can also get the embedded HTML code and put it onto a website, share it through Google Plus account, Facebook, or Twitter. So lots of different ways to do this. One other important thing to look at is here in this tab, you can see Add Collaborators. Adding collaborators will allow you to work with one or more people on a form at a time. In order to do this, you simply need to click on Add Collaborators and then type in their Google address here in the bottom. And then click Send. It will send them a notification that they are now a collaborator, and it will add them to this box here. You can change your permissions here to allow anyone with the link to edit the form or make it public. So you can do this, but it means that anybody can edit the form. So be careful with who you want to edit it. If you get too many people in there changing it, it can make things a little crazy. One thing I will tell you is if you are collaborating with a group on a project, let's say several teachers are collaborating on a assessment together, each teacher needs to make a copy of it for their own classes. Once you finish the master form, and I would title it master form, in order to distribute it to your students, if you don't make your own copy, what will happen is every student who takes the test, their responses will go into the same form unless a copy is made. So that's a really important thing to remember. Okay, so now that we have all of those, we are ready to get into actually creating the questions and making the form now that we have our settings correct.